Hello everyone, this is Fantasy-esque and welcome back to the Vampire Amazon Challenge in The Sims 4. We are following the reign of Queen Darling Cloudy Snarl, who has recently welcomed Dame Zuleika into the court. But her arrival has been fraught with many challenges, largely due to the status she carries as the Crown Princess's mortal enemy. Already the vampires are picking sides, and the Queen has decided to back Zara, despite knowing that all of this is her daughter's doing. We are picking up at 6 a.m. on Friday, and I'm very curious to see what's going on with all of our ladies. We were just talking about how Queen Darling is kind of taking her daughter's side in this whole mortal enemy thing she has going on, like the arch rivalry she has with Zuleika, and we'll get to more of that in a little bit. But we do actually have the sword fighting tournament coming up pretty soon, and I feel like right now Lilith is probably the only one in the right headspace to be thinking of that. Ever since she has become a lower member of court, she doesn't have to worry about the drama with Shannon, so she wants to play the piano. She's feeling calm, she's feeling collected, she's probably going to try and strategize for how she might be able to, let's see, why don't we, yes, let's play the Vampire Slayer and strategize how we might be able to potentially win the sword fighting tournament. So Lilith is going to work on that. She has not been in any sort of fights. She hasn't been tugged in the middle of this political war between, different factions. So Lilith is feeling pretty happy. I don't think she's the type of sim who is kind of made to be in power necessarily. It just gives her an immense amount of stress. A lot of other ladies in her position might not have been too happy about getting the chance to be counselor for a short period and then having it taken away from them, but I feel like with Lilith, it's different. She doesn't think the same. She is, I reckon, so relieved that she doesn't have to be counselor. In a lot of ways, Lilith reminds me of Anaya. I feel like if anyone would have reacted this way to being counselor and then becoming a lower member of court, I feel like it would have been Anaya. Okay, but I am gonna consider this complete. She can continue playing this song if she so chooses. Let's jump over to Shannon. Shannon wants to kick a trash can. She has been, you'd think that Shannon would be pretty excited about the fact that her daughter is doing much better with the other youngsters than Zuleika is, because Zuleika is her rival. But Shannon over here wants to kick a trash can because she's been noticing that Caleb has all of a sudden become so close to the queen, and she's annoyed at herself for not seeing this sooner, for underestimating Caleb and not seeing her as a threat. So, really quickly, I'm gonna get her to take a shower actually, and then she's gonna come into the kitchen. She is, well, can she? Can she? It would be nice if she could come here and kick over the trash can. She might not be able to? Okay. I don't know why she can't kick over the trash can. Maybe because it's the public trash can? Well, I suppose she can't do that. What else can she do? Weed a plant. We don't have anything that can be weeded, unfortunately. Well, we're gonna have to find something else for Shannon to do, but I have no doubt that she probably, most definitely, is feeling annoyed at Caleb. Chat with Princess Nimue. Okay. Now recently, guys, Queen Darling actually developed a, I think, supportive relationship with Nimue, or dynamic with Nimue, which is interesting because it's completely different to the difficult dynamic she has with Zara. I feel like out of all the daughters, Nimue might be the queen's favorite. But Shannon, yeah, I think Shannon might be wanting to get closer to Nimue and try and encourage Nimue to become friends with her daughter Vampyre, just like Zuleika is best friends with Nydia and Yorick. I think maybe Shannon would push her daughter to become best friends with Zoro and Nimue. So let's see if we can summon Nimue over. And the fact that she autonomously went and started talking to Lilith when before she had like the biggest problem with Lilith and used to give Lilith like an immensely hard time. I wonder if Shannon is being nice to Lilith because she doesn't see Lilith as a threat anymore. She's more annoyed at Caleb right now. Okay, hold on. I want to get Nimue. Let's call over Princess Nimue and we'll get Shannon to, is it just chat? Yeah, we'll get Shannon to want to complain about cloudy weather. I think that can be a metaphor more or less for Shannon complaining about the situation amongst the youngsters, like the arch rivalry that's happening. Probably because she wants to see where Nimue stands in all of that. And she will discover very quickly that Nimue, I think, is on Zuleika's side. I'm pretty sure Nimue is on Zuleika's side. But obviously, she wants to try and break some of that. She wants Nimue to either be on Zara's side or completely removed from that whole thing and, you know, befriending Vampyre. Maybe she's telling Nimue that you and Vampyre are very close in age. Maybe you should be a bit of a guide to her, help her get settled, and all that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, Lady Akira wants to share insecurities. So let's see who she has the closest relationship with in court. She has a 41 with Lady Lilith. She has a 55 with Princess Zara, a 75 with Queen Darling, a 40 with Lady Caleb, a 93 with her daughter Zuleika, and a 62 with Shannon. So she most definitely is going to be talking to her daughter about her insecurities. It's kind of nice now that now that Zuleika is old enough to be in the court, that Akira has someone of her own, like a family member that she can talk to and that she can be close to, discuss kind of her inner thoughts with. And I'm speeding through because I want the teenagers to be back from academy. Normally I don't speed through, but instead of kind of just yanking them from academy and having their grades plummet, I want to try and see if I can speed through and get them to come back home. I imagine that Akira would be waiting for Zuleika to come back so she can talk with her. Okay, Zoro is writing his mother a letter, which is very, very nice of him. Okay, Vampyre just returned. Akira, let's go talk to your daughter about your insecurities. At this point, it is probably way too serious of a situation for these two, or for Akira to discuss kind of it's become a family matter, right? To discuss her daughter's family matter with anyone else. Maybe she might have beforehand, but recently she's become aware in the way that the queen talks that, can we move out of the sun? Can we move out of the sun? Actually. Okay, she's already spoken to her daughter. Well, I guess I'll leave them to it. But yeah, I think before she might have brought this up with the queen to try and get the queen to maybe help and intervene, but recently she's kind of realized in the way that the queen talks that the queen is taking Zara's side. And so Akira feels as though nobody else is going to know or care enough about Zuleika and her situation than, well, Zuleika. So it's kind of a family matter. She would rather talk to her daughter and try and work out a strategy of how they might be able to overcome this. Okay, there is that. Now, Queen Darling, she had something saved for her in terms of whims, but she's gotten rid of that. What else does she want to do? Flirt with someone. Okay, who does she have a romantic relationship with anyone? As in the household. No, but she would flirt with whoever she's the closest to, right? Okay, she has a 37 with Lilith. I'm going to pause real quick. She has a minus 13 with Zuleika, a 48 with Shannon, 13 with Zara, but that's her daughter, so that doesn't count. 100 with Caleb, a 77 with Akira. So she's going to flirt with Caleb. Where the heck is Caleb? Caleb's all the way up here. So let's see if we can come up Oh. Maybe try and hold Caleb's hands? You know what? I'm thinking maybe, because we were making a comparison about how Caleb is taking up that playful spot in the queen's life that Billy had. Maybe the queen wants more of what she had with Billy with Caleb. She's always kind of seen Akira as a friend, and they did have, like, sometimes they would exchange flirts and stuff. But maybe Akira was and always has been just a friend. And now that there is this arch rivalry between their daughters, maybe she feels as though that relationship has become a little bit compromised or a little bit inappropriate because they will both take their daughter's side. So she kind of is feeling extra brave with Caleb. So okay, let's send her up, get her to hold Caleb's hands. I don't know how Caleb is going to respond to this. Now, in terms of Darling backing up Zara, I think some of you lovelies were making a comment about this, and it's something I do want to address, but I don't think that Darling is taking Zara's side because she keeps walking into the fights at the exact moment where Zuleika's the one kind of causing the problem, and she thinks that Zuleika's in the wrong. I don't think that is the case. Knowing Zara's personality, something that the Queen has been well aware of since Zara was a child, I think Queen Darling knows that Zara has started this whole thing and Zara is in the wrong, and Zara is the one who is acting like a spoilt brat. The Queen knows this. But at the end of the day, I feel like Queen Darling is choosing to protect the royal dignity and back her daughter instead of standing up for what's right. Instead of backing up Zuleika and protecting Zuleika from the way her daughter's acting, because her daughter is a member of the royal family, she's the crown princess, going to be the next queen, I think Darling feels as though it is more important for her to protect her own family's prestige, her own bloodline's prestige, and that's what she's doing. That's why she's picking Zara's side over Zuleika's. And I'm gonna consider this complete. Apparently, she now has an amazing compatibility with Caleb, which she might have already had before, but she has a bit of romance with her. So I wonder if the Queen has started seeing Caleb as kind of something more. And this is making me so curious about how Shannon's gonna kind of swallow this humiliation in a lot of ways. She might consider this a humiliation that Caleb has almost like overlooked her. They did have something sparking between them, but I feel like it went cold after Caleb became counselor. And she's been waiting for Caleb to explain herself, which Caleb hasn't done because Caleb doesn't feel like there's anything that needs explaining, because she hasn't exactly schemed for this. And now Shannon's gonna find out that Caleb has been flirting with Queen Darling, or even if it's the other way around, and their relationship is kind of reaching a point that no one might be able to take advantage of. So she might be really mad. Okay, and finally we have Dame Zuleika. Now Zuleika wants to be mischievous, so let's see who she has the closest relationship with. She has a 5 with Lilith, a -92 with Zara, a -13 with Darling, a 34 with Caleb, a 24 with Shannon, and an 83 with her mother Akira. So she is going to be mischievous with her mother, I think, as a way. Let's instill with false confidence as a way of reassuring her mother, because I think she knows that Akira is feeling very worried for her, and she doesn't like putting her mother in that spot. I feel like Zuleika has always grown up looking up to Akira, and she hasn't seen a lot of Akira's vulnerabilities. She's always seen her mother as a tough woman who kind of works hard to get things done and survive the court, and she's always kind of seen her mother hold herself with a lot of dignity and poise and elegance, and that's something she's always been trying to emulate and she's always been trying to study the court as much as possible, to be as intelligent as possible so that she can make her mother proud. I think she's always wanted to be kind of her mother's solution to everything. But now she's become the biggest problem, and I don't think she would like that very much. But okay, I'm gonna let these ladies more or less do their own thing. We'll see what else they get up to. And we do have the the sword fighting tournament coming up on Sunday. I'm not sure if we're gonna get that done in this episode or the next one. Most probably the next one, but this might be a good chance for the ladies to get kind of some last minute practicing in for the sword fighting. And I did go ahead and give Zuleika a sword from the chest upstairs, so she should be able to autonomously do that as well. All the talk of arch-rivalry was getting to Crown Princess Zara's head, and she found herself annoyed at the pestering by her mother to protect the royal image. She sought out Lilith to refocus her attention on the sword fighting tournament and get some tips on her technique. Lady Caleb wasn't usually one to brag about things, but her romance with the Queen was making it hard not to feel proud of herself and the bond she'd created with Darling. The fact that she'd kept a good heart and the monarch had noticed her for it was very validating indeed. Lady Lilith noticed Shannon brooding behind the new sweethearts and quickly walked over to defuse the situation. She joined the conversation, not wanting Caleb to become the target of a new drama in the court. She considered Caleb her closest friend after all. Angered over the situation with the Queen and Caleb, Lady Shannon chose to take it out on Zuleika. It was time for her to pick a side in this rivalry, and she wanted the dame to know that she was nothing before the Crown Princess. It was Shannon's way of getting back some measure of control, and if she was miserable, then so was everyone else. It had been some time since Lady Akira had shown favor to Zara, and before the sword fighting tournament took place, she wanted to re-establish those ties. A small part of her still hoped the Crown Princess would turn away from the arch rivalry for her sake, but a bigger part of her knew it was merely false hope. Princess Nydia has aged up into a teen, so we're taking a look at her in Cass. She's gained the cringe trait and aspires to be a master vampire. I think her personality is probably due to being the younger sister who's always been in Zara's shadow. She was always busy coveting things from the Crown Princess and never paid too much attention to everything else happening in court, so she grew up being oblivious to her surroundings. I can see her saying the most obvious things at the silliest moments and completely missing the point of any metaphorical discussion going on. A part of me is wondering if she became best friends with Zuleika as a way to steal her from Zara's limelight, and maybe knowing the Crown Princess wants to become strong is motivating her to become more wise and powerful herself. She also likes spirited Sims, which might mean that she's drawn to Zuleika and Yorick because she knows they are a source of strife for Zara and she finds their clashes thrilling. In terms of appearance, I think Nydia definitely has her father's face shape and genetics, a ruin in case we've forgotten, but other than that she looks so much like her mother. They also have the exact same skin tone, and it's kinda crazy how different she is to Zara. I don't know if I find her conventionally pretty. I reckon she has a fairly plain face. I'm kinda surprised I'm saying this, but Zara might be the prettiest sister. I'm still holding out hope on Nimue though, but that's all for Princess Nydia. Okay, I thought I would jump in really quickly before we ended the episode to take a look at Princess Nydia's relationships and see what exactly is going on with her. So Nydia, guys, actually has a fairly good compatibility with a lot of the ladies in court. She's got amazing compatibility with Shannon, Akira, and Lilith, and then good compatibility with the Crown Princess. Now, she is, hold on a second, before we get to, Zuleika and Zara and all the youngsters, in terms of the older ladies, she's the closest to Lady Shannon. Like, literally the closest to Lady Shannon. So out of all of the women in court, or the immortals, she looks up to Shannon the most, which is different from Zara, because Zara looks up to Akira the most. And she does not get along well with her mother. She does not like her mother at all. I'm still trying to work out where this might be coming from, but yeah, she does not hold Queen Darling, she does not hold Queen Darling in a very high regard. Okay, now on to the youngsters. So apparently Nydia is actually best friends with Yorick, Zuleika, and her sister Nimue. So we know Zuleika is best friends with Yorick and with Nydia, but Nydia is also really good friends with Nimue. I think she might like Nimue a lot more than Zara. She's friends with Zara, but she might like Nimue a lot more because Nimue is not like the oh so special crown princess. So in a lot of ways, she's quite similar to Nydia, who's always been in Zara's kind of shadow. So she doesn't mind her little sister Nimue as much. She is able to relate to Nimue, I think, a lot more. So they've got a strong friendship going on over there. Zara, she has maintained good relations with, but Zara's, not as fun, I think, as being friends with Zuleika is. I think Nydia likes the way Zuleika kind of puts Zara in her place by getting into those fights, those arguments, having an arch rivalry with her. She also knows her sister Zara is against having an arranged marriage to Yorick, and for that reason I imagine she finds it really fun to be friends with him. In fact, she has the closest friendship with Yorick. She has a 100 friendship. She has 100 friendship with Yorick. And then it's Zuleika at a 95 and Nimue at a 93. But since all of them are like 90 and above, I'm going to consider them to be her best friends. So that's kind of a fascinating look at her. She's also good friends with her brother Prince Zoro. So all around, she actually is quite well balanced. She has a very strong position in court, I would say. Definitely in this arch rivalry, she is taking Zuleika's side, but she has a very strong presence in court. For sure. She just doesn't like her mother, which is, to be honest, the most dangerous thing to do, because if the queen reaches a point where she can't stand one of her daughters and she calls judgment on them, then they are, royally screwed. So there is that. It is very fun for us to have Nimue age up at this point, I think, because it means she'll be participating in the sword fighting tournament that we're going to have. Now, she has not managed to get any experience. Let me actually get her a... Wait, hold on. The sword is... Where's the sword? Sword is all the way there. Let's give her a sword so that she can maybe try and get some practice in today. I mean, she's got half the day. She can get some practice in before the tournament happens in the next episode. I also have to go and get her a drink, which I might do off camera or at the beginning of the next episode. I'm not entirely sure. I'll see how I feel. But okay, guys, with that said and done, I am going to leave off here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.